Hey, it's so nice to meet you in person finally, because I've read your book and seen your work and stuff. But if you want to, introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, like what you do, all that fun stuff.
I can do that. I can do that. So obviously, Jen Sankey. Also, Stardust Wanderer Tarot, and I've been a practicing witch for a very, very long time. We don't need to say numbers. Before internet, let's put it that way. The 1900s. So yeah, and really, it's just been, I was kind of the quirky, weird kid that liked to play in the woods, looking for the fae, and just kind of evolved from there. Found tarot when I was about 12. And really started learning it the best I could. Like I said, there was no internet at that point. So you had that little book, and it was just the regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And so, I feel like back at that point too, we learned it a little bit differently than we do now because of, we just didn't have the access. So I feel like it was definitely like kind of more intuitive. And then the study came later on. For me, and really I started working with the moon as a teenager. I was out of my house at 14, so I had to learn very fast to rely on my intuition. And that's really kind of what led me to my moon work. And then I started teaching and speaking and all of those things. And here we are today. Really quick little.
Well, that's like a century in 1 minute.
That was the quickest, it's like, that was like just a little snippet of all the things going on. Had 4 kids in between. We had to have business, all those things. And, I think really what it came down to is that because I was out so early, it was just, I don't want to say I was like forced into my magic, but I was like, I needed to rely on something and someone, and I knew everyone around me wasn't it. So that's really where I decided to focus it. And, as a teen, you can go many different ways. So I consider myself very lucky that I picked magic.
That's true too. Oh, that's been amazing though, because it was, that speaks too, because it's at a time where it wasn't that popular. You know what I mean? It wasn't that out in the open, or it was really looked down by, everybody.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's always what I've been drawn to as well. Like if it's something that nobody's talking about, or like, oh my gosh, what is that? I'm like, oh, okay, let me see what this is about. I'm going to start doing it. So, I guess that's part of my hard-headedness there. I have an Aries moon, so I'm all about blasting into spaces and being like, what's up? Let's do this. What, magic? Oh, people feel weird about that? Okay, well, I'm going to dive head first. So I think that, I think that's definitely has been a big part of my life. And I think, just especially, and again, just working with the moon, because it's always been there, and it's there no matter what, whether you practice magic or not, if you're a witch or not, that moon is still out there and everybody notices it, right? Like nobody's that like, oh, I don't see anything. Meanwhile, it's like right there. So, I think that's really a part of why even I wrote the book, because a lot of people want to work with the moon, but they don't know where to start. And they see it out there and they know they feel a certain way when the full moon's out, or they only see a crescent moon. So, I try to bring it all together.
Yeah, because that's the book behind you, right?
Yes. All over. I have it everywhere. They're everywhere. And then of course the tarot decks too. And I love tarot. That's always going to be my main thing. And then I started creating tarot decks because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And then I started, and my first tarot deck is Stardust Wanderer Tarot. So that one is over here. That's this one. So she was self-published, and let me tell you, that is a journey. That is a very long, very interesting journey. That's what I'll say about that. So probably won't be self-publishing again. It was a lot, and I give people credit for that are constantly self-publishing stuff, because it's just a lot of business. And so I was able to self-publish it. We kickstarted it and it was successful, thankfully. That is really like a sci-fi pirate, space pirate, gods and goddesses. And it was a story. The fool is Mina, and she's a space goddess. And she kind of just like, the story just kind of downloaded and was like, here's her tarot deck. And I'm like, I don't know, I was making a tarot deck, but here we are. So it was really interesting how that all came about. And like, her dad is Blackbeard. Her mom is Selene, goddess of the moon. And a really crazy story about that is the name Mina just showed up in my head, right? And I'm like, okay, the fool's name is Mina. Well, I was looking at, just doing some research because I'm like, okay, now I better research all this stuff if I have to write about it. And Selene had 50 daughters, and one of her daughters' names is actually Mina. Oh so that was crazy. Like, I was just like, whoa, okay, this is what's happening. And the art took a while to do. It's very detailed, like I said, but we got it out there, and now US Games actually picked it up. And that's so the mass market edition is going to be coming out in end of June. So I'm super excited about that. I do have a couple, I think I may have 150 copies left, and I am selling them on Amazon because it's just easier for shipping. So, and if you really don't want to use Amazon, you can contact me. I do have some here. And after that, after June, those won't be available anymore. So if you want a first edition, definitely get on that, because that window is closing very quickly, which is crazy. It's so crazy to think that, we changed a couple of different things just to make the mass market unique. So I'm excited. I'm hoping in the next month or so I'll be getting my author copy of it, and that'll be cool to have.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And then next we have Enchanted Forest Felines, and that is my kitty cat deck. So that's this one here. It's super cute. And Llewellyn did this thing on it. I'm just trying to open it. They put a little paw print, a see-through paw print. You see it right there. I just thought that was so much fun. So that's my kitty deck, and that's with Llewellyn. I also have a goblin deck coming out with Llewellyn, Goblin Whispers Tarot. I posted a couple of pictures of that, and that's super fun.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that because I like that goblin thing. Nobody does like the darker, creepier, goblins since Brian Froud,
Yeah, well, and that's what I love. I love him, and I love David Bowie. But I'm just getting that out there. I'm obsessed. I have long sleeves on today, but I have a whole 80s tattoo sleeve of all 80s movies. So I have Labyrinth, I have Dark Crystal, I have Neverending Story, I have all of that on there. So,
Mirror Mask, right?
Yes, that's my inspiration for that, and I love that. And then I have a couple other ones that are hopefully soon to be announced. But right now, we've just been playing with the moon right now, getting that out there.
Yes, no, I love that because it's true. I feel like there's so much information that. But somewhere to start with it. Not so much, but you know what I mean? Everyone's kind of oh, do this, do that, but not in a way that's magical. You know what I mean? Not in a way that actually works with it like that. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Because I did order a copy. It did not come yet. But I know, story of my life. When I ordered somebody else's book, it shipped to my old address. Amazon and I have not been getting along.
Yeah, well, they were being weird too when the book first came out. The shipping was next day shipping, and then all of a sudden it was 3 weeks out, and I'm like, what is even happening right now? Which was annoying because it kind of messes up your algorithm in Amazon, and I'm like, that's not fair. Can we redo that?
Yes.
But it's out there. It's fine. It's at Barnes and Noble too. Barnes and Noble bought a whole bunch. They reassured me that so it's out there. You can get it. But Amazon seems to have gotten a little bit better. But it's Amazon. It is the animal that it is. But yeah. So I mean, with my book, the first part of the book really is about learning a practice and creating a practice. And if you've never done spell work, if you've never had an altar, if you've never worked with any sort of deities or anything like that, everything in part one is about that. And it's really all about just, okay, well, this is how we kind of start our practice. And then you get into part 2, and that's each chapter is a moon phase, and then tells you exactly what you need to do. I give you so many options that, you don't have to do them all. That's also one thing. And that goes with any books, anything that you get, right? You don't have to do every single thing at first, because that's overwhelming. And that's the one thing I wanted to not do, is overwhelm people, because once you get overwhelmed, you don't do it, right? Like, you start going and going, and then you're like, oh, I can't do it. And then you ditch it, right? Mostly like all the crafting I do, I always have good intentions, but then they kind of land there after a while, because I'm like, what did I get myself into?
Yes.
I try though. I try. There's so many good, that's a problem. You go online and you see all this like crafting stuff, and you're like, I can do that. I can do that. And you get all the stuff, and you're like, wait, I can't do that. Just like I can't draw, and that is something I do know. So I am so lucky to have been blessed with amazing artists. And even with manifesting by the moon, the cover art and everything, they did such a good job with it. And they asked me all my ideas, and I gave them, and they did such a good job. So that's pretty cool, because you don't really get to pick your cover. You get to like have choices, but you know, I mean, I think if there's something really specific that you want, if it fits their vibe, but just kind of give them ideas, and they come up with it. So it's always really cool when it aligns.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Oh gosh, that's
good.
fun. Well, it's a beautiful cover. Yeah. Because it's like that ancient looking kind of, not like the mystical things people do, because the moon's so much more than that. You know what I mean? Because it is ancient, it is old, it is mystical, but it's old first, old magic.
Right. Yeah, it's got the moon. Yeah, it's got the moon flowers on it. So that was good. And I didn't want it to be intimidating. Because I feel like, especially if a beginner's picking it up and the book has like, runes and sigils all over it, it's like, oh, I don't know, this might not be for me. So I wanted to make it like, I just wanted to be super approachable too. Like, oh, okay, anybody, again, could pick this book up. And I liked it, even with the spell work, and even, I have tarot spreads in there. There's a card assigned to each lunar phase as well. And I wanted you to be able to just kind of pick it up and go, but also doing the spell work is practical. Like that, I'm really big on being practical, because if I put a spell in there that needs an herb that is like $500 for 2 ounces, again, you're not going to do it. It's ridiculous. And there, when you're first starting, I literally want you to be able to go in your kitchen and go in your herb cabinet and take out what you need, use that first. And I always say, go outside, if you don't have a specific crystal for something, go outside and find a rock. Like, literally just ask, like, I need a rock for, my new moon working, and just walk around, and whichever one pops out, that's it. It doesn't need to be fancy. And, as your practice grows, and as you, start doing more, you're going to start picking up some crystals and learning the properties of them. And I have all suggestions in there as well. But in the beginning, just use what you have. I'd rather you do it than take, 3 months trying to like source all the different things. And I always say too, done is better than perfect. Just, it doesn't need to be perfect. And I feel, a lot of times with people, especially on the internet now and everything, they have these beautifully curated feeds, and they have altars and spell work, and it just looks so like pristine. And I've talked to a lot of people who are like, oh, I just don't have time to do that. I have pets that they're gonna just jump all in that, and that's fine. If somebody has the time to do that, unfortunately, a lot of the time it's performative. They're not actually doing the spell. They light the candle, they take the picture or video, and then they just put it all away. And, I've talked to people who do that. And, talk to them, but I just want people to know that they really can do very simple magic, stirring intentions into your tea or your coffee. Taking a shower intentionally to cleanse, it's like for people who have practiced for so long, it's like, oh, this stuff is just whatever. It's the basic stuff. But how many times, like, do we need to go back to basics? I feel like that just refreshes our whole practice, right?
Yes, I agree completely. That's why I loved, books like that, because starting and seeing how you do things differently, because like you said, you start doing things and not even realizing it.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's like habit instead of intention.
Right. Yeah, it is. And it does. It becomes a habit. Like if you're pulling cards every day, you're just pulling your card and whatever. But if you're doing it with the moon phase, if you're going, it's all right. Well, the full moon in my book, most times it's related to release and all of that, right? In my book, it's more geared towards balance because you're working through the phases. So I want that to, like, you have to let things go in order to bring things in, right? So, so those tarot cards, I picked 2 for that one is the sun and the moon, because what is the moon shining on that you're keeping hidden that needs to be brought out, maybe released, worked on, worked through, and what is the sun shining on that you're showing everybody, but maybe you don't need to be, and that's the other thing, because a lot of times we're always just constantly on, throwing things on. Oh yeah, this happened. Some things aren't meant to be shared until they're where they need to be. So it's just like having that discernment as well. Like, okay, I'm going to just balance everything out, take a step back, and focus on me and where I need to go and what do I need to do to finish out this moon cycle, because now at that full moon point we're going into the waning phases. So that's kind of like the tying the loose ends and all of that. And really too, I also focus on the dark moon. People like to skip over that. They're like, I don't need to do that, but that's really where the big integration comes in. That's where just taking that self-care and that time, because as a society, we suck at self-care and giving ourselves space and just being mindful in the moment. So I really focus on that when we get into those waning phases as well, because I want you to integrate everything you did. I want you to realize that, okay, maybe what I wanted at the new moon really isn't what I want now. And that's okay, because then that means that you've done some work, you've moved through and you've moved space, you've created space. And that's awesome, because that next phase, the next cycle you work with, now you're going to be able to do even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Clear the way for.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's true.
What is your definition of magic anyway, Jen?
I think really it is knowing yourself, and knowing what you're capable of, being able to focus your energy. I think that's really important. And that's something I really talk a lot about in my book too, is being able to focus your energy. Because a lot of times, there is chaos magic, there's chaotic magic, and that's kind of a different thing. But when you're first starting, just people will do a candle spell and they'll light the candle and just be like, okay, I lit my candle. Now I'm going to get whatever I asked for. And they don't focus their magic. They don't really focus on that intention. Why do they want it? What do they think is going to happen when it does come to fruition? So being able to know that about yourself and know, again, just having that discernment, like, is this what I want? Or do I think I want this? Why do I want this? Asking those questions, being able to kind of touch on the shadowy parts of things and still be able to be focused. So it's work. It is work. It's not just this easy thing. Like, there are a lot of places and things that want to be like, oh, you can manifest in 3 days. Just do X, Y, and Z. You'll have everything you want. And by the way, it's going to only it'll cost you 10 grand. It's fine. But, you have to put in order to receive it. And which is the worst thing ever. I can't stand when people say that. But I think that by focusing your magic and really getting to know yourself, because that's when you're able to use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
If you don't know yourself, if you don't know, why you want things and how you want things, how can you focus magic to make it happen? At that point, it's just kind of all over the place. And I do think it's important that as you choose a path, whether you're doing divination, whether you're doing ritual work, is learning and being open to different perspectives and really understanding the basics of things. I think, your intuition it deepens your intuition when you understand the basics. And that doesn't mean that you don't harness your intuition, you don't move that way, but you want to just make sure it gives you that basis. It kind of gives you that starting point instead of just kind of willy-nilly, like going for it. Like I was saying, like just lighting a candle and go, woohoo, let's see what happens. But it gives you that basis. And then, even as you're doing divination, having that basis and taking that time to do that study and see why did they, Pam, why did she put that in this card? Why is that color in there? And you may hate the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. You may hate it. The colors, so many people are like, that was my OG first deck, and I'll always love it for that reason. But there's reasons why there's different things in there. There's reasons why we work with the moon phases, and taking the time to kind of do that study, I think also helps you recognize what it means to you and how you feel about it, because everybody feels different, and everyone has a different perspective on things. So also seeking others' opinions and talking and having these discussions with other people to get their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, it still hangs out in your head, and you might come across somebody and they may be like, yeah, I don't really like this. It doesn't really sound right to me. But then you'll think of, Morgan's perspective on this, and I may not agree with it, but this person, oh, wait, somebody told me once, X, Y, and Z, and they may be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then that opens up a whole other realm for them. So I think it's just being open and being receiving and, seeing what you can do with it. Cause you never know. Cause a lot of people, if you're just doing your practice, again, you're just doing it and that's it, then it closes you off. So reading books, using, getting readings from other people, I think is so, so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Especially the different modalities that they have even beyond tarot.
Yeah. Because again, they're gonna draw that perspective from what they've learned and experienced, and it may not be something that maybe a modality that you'd probably never do, but their experience and their perception of a card, a meaning, may really spark something in you and be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way before. And, then you can dive into that and see what it means to you and how it affects your magic and how maybe you can build on your magic from that.
Oh yeah, I like that. Especially if you're just, coming at it from that magical aspect.
Yeah. I think that, it's hard now too, because there's so much gatekeeping. There's so much, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And I purposely on Facebook join like beginner witchcraft groups. A lot of it's painful, I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes I just gotta keep scrolling because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I need a spell for this, I need a spell for that. And it's like, friend, no, you need to call the cops and you need to go to the doctor. And that's, but every once in a while there's a couple of good questions in there. And I just, I do that for myself to keep myself humble, and just be like, we're here to help and to serve. And I do feel that, doing that also, and again, even something so simple or a book recommendation or maybe my opinion on something can help focus them and create a better practice for them, then I try to do that, and sometimes I'm like, there's some really great questions. I'm in there and I'm typing away, but then sometimes I have to back away because sometimes it's like, woo, but don't do this, don't do that, don't use this, don't use that. And I feel that, if people just approached it a little differently and say, oh, maybe I wouldn't use that. This is traditionally what it's used for. Why do you want to use it in this different way? And, make it more a teachable moment instead of don't do that. Because if you go on there's so many that say that, don't do this, don't do that. And even if somebody is trying to work in a practice that's closed, oh, don't do that. How are you doing that? Oh, you're this, that, and the other thing. How about this usually is a traditionally closed practice that, you may need more sourcing. Maybe read some of these books to learn about it so why it's closed, why maybe this isn't going to work for you, but there may be something else. It's just that redirection. And I feel like sometimes that gets a little bit lost. And even in my book, there's a couple of deities that you can create altars for and work with. But that's kind of as far as it goes. Like you can work with them in the moon aspect, but that's as far as it goes. And I state that in there and I say why. And the back of the book has so many resources of different recommendations that I did. I did like a section for each thing I talked about in the book and why, to recommend. So let me see, for instance, and I think that's important. Everybody's like, well, you wrote a book. Why are you recommending other books to people? Because again, that's how we learn. That's how we know. And I have like, oh my gosh, there's probably 4 or 5 pages of recommended reading that I have. I went through each of these and I really made sure that I, felt they were aligned with me and with my, what I was trying to get across in my book. But, for the goddesses, Lilith Dorsey is fantastic with all of that. So I'm like, read her stuff. She actually did an endorsement for me and she's wonderful. There's intuition, there's sigils, there's herbs, there's all of those things. And, I even have like my bibliography is literally like 10 pages long. And that means I had to cite every single one of those. And let me tell you, writing a book, that's the one thing that you're just like, I can do this. I can do this. So again, it's just making, taking these little bits from everybody and including them in your practice. And I think that's so important. And, take my book, take other moon books, put them all together and create this whole practice for yourself. That's totally fine. And I think that people sometimes feel like they could only read the one book and they could only do what's out of that book or else they don't, it's going to be crazy. No, just take your time, because that's another thing is people want to rush through it. They want to rush through everything. I mean, how many people that are learning tarot and they want to start doing readings for people like in 5 minutes, and it's like, no, friend, breathe. You need to understand what's going on here, So I think that's a really big thing, and even with magic and practicing magic is take your time and learn it. Integrate it, let it become a part of you, let it move around in your body a little bit before you really start like pulling out the big guns of spell work and altars and all of that. If you just have a simple little altar every day that you work with, that's fine. It doesn't need to be crazy. It doesn't need to be huge, but again, it's just taking your time to learn it, to understand it for you and how it feels for you. Because I feel that people start reading, and even when they're working with the moon, they're like, okay, well, the moon, we have this last quarter moon phase is the last push. So I should be doing the last push, but they're not like, what is the last push? Why do I need to do that? What does it mean for me? Because sometimes that's where the resistance shows up, and that's okay. And we want that, and everybody's like, oh, all these things are popping up as I'm starting to learn magic and practice magic. That's okay. We want that. That means it's working. That means that you're touching on those shadowy things that need to be touched on. And if you're, when that stuff pops up for you, just take it slowly, again, like it's just, this isn't a rush. This isn't a race. Take it slow. If it's something that feels really big, just poke it a little bit. Just poke that little bear. You don't need to dive head first into the big deep hole and then that's the end of everything. Just, the more you kind of give it little pokes, the more familiar it is and you can go deeper and deeper. But I do think that if you learn to kind of play with the shadow and you learn to harness that part of you, because it's the light and the dark, right? We all have that. And a lot of, there are a lot of, people or groups that are like, just stay in the light, Carolyn. It's like, no, this isn't poltergeist. We're not staying in the light, friend. You do need to touch in the dark. And even in my book, I'm like, okay, well, if stuff is popping up, this is what we do for it. If, if you need to stop working on your intention during this cycle because something big popped up, then do that. Because you know what? It's going to happen again in a month. You can start over, and that's totally okay.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Especially giving people grace to just kind of do that, skip around, like spend time with it. Maybe you have the same intention for like 2 moon cycles.
Right. And sometimes that is how it, really, sometimes just working through a moon cycle is kind of batting off all of that, or just giving it some attention. And you may not have come to that, whatever you wanted to manifest at the end. But again, you created space and giving yourself that, like you said, that grace to create that space is really important. And I mean, I know when I've done readings for people, I've given them, it's like you give them permission to take the time. You give them permission to do self-care. And it's kind of crazy to think about, like, I'm giving this grown adult permission to do self-care. But sometimes we need someone else to tell us, because, like, we know we need to do it, but it gets ignored. It gets put at the bottom of the list. But if someone's saying you straight up, like, listen, you better take care of yourself or else, then then you listen, right? Like, so we need to be shaken up sometimes. And sometimes, again, it's that other perspective telling you that, yeah, I'm seeing this in you too. I'm seeing this in the cards for you as well. It's time for you to take a step back. It's time for you to work on these shadowy things. So as you work through the moon phases and you see, and you work with the different cards that are attached, that is going to bring up stuff. And it's meant to, like, we want it to, because again, we want to deepen your magic. We want to deepen your practice. We want to, make you the best magical being that you can be for yourself. And that's what it comes down to. This isn't for anybody else. This is for you. And if you do the work here, you start working through the book and you're doing it. You don't have to post it. You don't have to talk about it. And, I feel like a lot of times that it's like, oh, I gotta write about it. I need to post about it. If you want to, you absolutely can. But also realize if it's taking away from your practice and again, you're losing that focus, your magic is getting unfocused, then you need to take it down and maybe do it after, maybe take some videos and leave them and save them till the end. So that you're staying focused.
Yeah,
definitely get that.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, and people don't really, I think people forget that. Again, it's like, it's that basics, people forget about it because they get so caught up in all the other stuff that, it's like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, altar, and I need to change this, and you lose your focus, and then you're losing your magic's all over the place, and you need to refocus. And a lot of, I also have affirmations in there. I have like moon exercises just to connect with the moon, and really it's a lot of mindfulness, and it's a lot of, but in more magical way, not like in a weird, quirky, new age way, which new age is fine, it's totally fine, but again, this is geared more towards people who want to really create a magical practice. So it's really using these tools to help you do that. And, then you start learning about the moon phases and you see how you feel during the moon phases. And then you start noticing other things about other people and how they're reacting to the moon phases. And in the back, I have a whole zodiac chapter, and it talks about the zodiac and the moon and bringing that into it. And then you start, seeing, it's like when you first learn astrology or know about astrology, and you start like, oh, by any chance, do you know what your moon sign is? Do you know it? And then you're like, oh, okay, all right, I see what's going on. But it helps you to understand others as well. And I think that's so important, especially nowadays with just communicating. And if you're doing work for others, magical work for others, it's great to know those things, because then you know how to communicate with them more effectively. And that, you're not just kind of saying whatever. But okay, well, I know that, again, I'm an Aries moon. I know that, I'm an Aries moon. So just say it direct. Like, I don't want any nonsense, because I'm going to burn that shit up. I'm like, I don't want to hear all this fluff. Like, tell me straight. Like, if I meet somebody who tells me straight, I'm like, it's like the best thing in the world for me. But that doesn't happen very often. A lot of people can't do that, right? Like, they can't handle just telling you straight up. So it's like every once in a while I can find those people that just tell me, and I love it. And and you know what? For me, it's like, yeah, let's just cut through that so we can have a real discussion, whether we agree or not. I just feel like it makes it so much more effective, and that's just how I communicate. But if I'm talking to a Pisces, then they're not like that. That Pisces moon is not going to be shooting it straight. Like, they're like, whoa, I'm feeling all of this, and I got to talk about all these feelings. And so then I know, okay, I need to taper it down a little bit. I need to calm down. Calm down, Jen. And then, and then I know that I need to approach it differently. And so, and that's even when I'm doing readings or I'm teaching people about moon work and all of that, like, you have to come at it where that you're going to be able to integrate it the best, understand it the best, and make it work for you the best. And what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. So that's why, even with the book, I give you all of that, like learn your moon sign, learn about it, understand it, and see how it relates to you. And, there are people too that are kind of on a cusp, there kind of might be a little bit of both. So learn about both of those and see what you can do to kind of integrate that to make it work for you. And again, it takes a little bit of, research, a little bit of reading, a little bit of learning, and taking that step back to give yourself the space. And again, like I said, and I'm always constantly repeating that, is just taking time, taking space, because everything is so rushed now. And as Aries moon as I am, I do know that much. I do know that. I can tape it. I'm pretty good at it. But it's like slow your roll a little bit, because then your practice is just going to be a lot deeper and a lot more effective that way.
No, that's so true.
And me and my fire all over the place. And I'm a Sagittarius rising too, so there's even more fire. And then Libra sun. So I'm like a weird mix.
No, I get. Yeah, I'm with you on that with my weird mixes too. Yeah. So I was gonna say, do you work with the Black Lilith moon in your book, or do you put that on hold?
We talk about it a little bit. Yeah, we talk about it a little bit. That would be, if I decided to do another moon book, it'd probably be more of like an advanced. We have like a chapter at the end about advanced stuff. Again, don't want to scare anybody. We talk about that. I talk about working with solar eclipses, blue moons, and all of that. Because again, back in those those beginner witch groups, everybody's so freaking scared of a free solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. Like they think it's just, everything's just going to explode. And I'm like, guys, we knew that this was happening. Like literally, like you can look and see when these things are going to be. Like everything isn't going to just explode. And it's learning about it and knowing what the energy is. Do you want to work with that type of energy, or do you not? And if you don't, that's fine. If you do, giddy up, let's go and start creating a plan of how you want to work with that energy. And I always recommend try it at least once and see if you like it or not. Some people work with it and they're like, oh, all right, it's nothing crazy. But also there's also people too that were born under eclipses. And so for them, it may be like go time. And somebody on some beginner witch groups like, don't work with it. It's chaos and everything is bad. And, the world's going to explode, And but meanwhile, that person is brand new to it. They don't even know that they were born under an eclipse. And that might be really great for them. So again, it's don't take everything you hear, to heart. Just do your research, vet the people you're researching. But I think that I love working with eclipses. And I think that depending on what zodiac sign it's in, you could really harness like some good energy and really clearing some stuff. And again, it's all about making more space. And if you want to make some good space, working in I definitely don't, anybody listening, don't be afraid of them. And you know what they're happening. And if you don't want to mess with it, don't mess with it. You just let it go by and nothing's going to happen. Or else you take the time, prepare, and you work with it. And usually good things are happening there. But it's like good, you say good things, but again, it might bring up some shadow stuff, but don't be afraid of that. And I think that's another thing that's so important is don't be afraid of your shadow. Don't be afraid of working with that. Those are it's those things the moon is going to shine its moonlight on, are those things that you don't want people to see about you, or maybe you don't think are great about you. But sometimes those aspects of your personality can be really effective in your magic and just really effective with communication. Like you may need to like harness those type of things, especially if you look at it in like an archetype type way. Like, I have some really hard stuff I need to do. Let me harness this aspect of myself in an archetype way. And it kind of gives you, again, another tool. It's just using what you have. And that's even what you have within yourself, even if you're a little bit scared of it. It's okay. It's okay to be a little bit scared of it. That's where change comes, right? Yeah. Where change is in the scared. And I always say, if you're nervous, if you're nauseous about something, usually means you probably should do it.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like there's change there, and that's what we want to happen. Because if you don't ever change, if you don't ever grow your practice, if you don't ever learn, it's again, it's like you were saying earlier, it's just a habit. You're just kind of moving through the motions, and it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because if you're not scared or terrified of it, you're just doing the same things you've always done.
Right. And nothing changes, nothing grows, nothing happens. And you're like, why doesn't my magic work? I don't have any magic. And it's like, you do, but you're gatekeeping yourself at the moment. So you need to stop that.
Yeah.
Look at some eclipse work and then blow it open and get going with it. Change it up. And sometimes even, if you do feel that you're getting kind of in a rut, in a routine with your magic, go and change it up. Try even doing a type of divination that you don't love. Learn about it. Try it out. Do it again. Do something out of the ordinary. If you, do tarot every day and that's what you do and that's it, and you're kind of feeling though that like you're not really getting the answers that you want, number one, clean your deck. Maybe you need to do a little cleansing, but try something different. Maybe, Lenormand, try that out and see, or even just do crystal reading or anything, something a little bit different just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. And then really also working again, tapping into that shadow work. You can use a moon cycle with the intention of changing up your routine. How can you change your routine? And that could be really powerful because now that you're moving through and each phase has a specific energy, and now you're taking that and you're using that energy to create change for yourself and your practice, you can really open up a lot. And sometimes you can open up maybe an ability you didn't even know you had, and that's really important. Or maybe a clair that you haven't worked on or worked with. Maybe start trying to tap into that or use a moon cycle with the intention of strengthening that clair. And after that, at the end, I guarantee something different will be happening for you. And then you can move on from there and build with that and build on that and incorporate that.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just, very layered. Very layered.
It is very layered. Yes. Very, very much like an onion, right? Lots of layers. And I think too that instead of making your onion really pretty and putting bows on it, start taking those layers off and start going deeper. And I think that a lot of, there are times that people just want to stay at that surface level magic and intentions and all of that. And you're not going to go anywhere. And those are the ones that are, again, saying nothing's working, nothing's happening, everything's staying the same. Well, if you feel like that is, go ahead and start really diving a little deeper. And if you don't know how to, there's so many books. There's so many resources available to us now that weren't available to us rather. And, when I was younger, I went to the library. The metaphysical section was like 3 books. It was like, that was it. There was like a Wicca book, there was a moon book, and there was like probably like a Satan book or something. And they were always checked out because, all us cool kids were checking it out as much as possible. And we didn't have that resource, So I think it's like one of those things. It's good and bad, but it's really setting that intention. Like, why am I reading into this? Why do I want to know about this? And sometimes asking those questions also defines your path and defines what you want to do, because you may want to learn, okay, I want to learn more about crystals. Why do you want to learn about crystals? Well, I think they're shiny and pretty. Well, maybe that's not why you want to do it. Maybe that you should think about that a little more, right? Maybe do some journaling or meditation or something. But, I think giving yourself that space to grow is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Plus, you never know. Yeah.
We don't. And because we're just, we're kind of trained not to. We're trained to conquer this, move to the next thing, conquer this, move to the next thing. And, magic is not that. Magic doesn't care. The moon doesn't care, the moon's going to just keep doing her thing regardless of what you're doing. She's like, you're following along or you're not. I'm just going to keep doing this over here. So figure yourself out. Yeah.
I know, right? No spiritual bypasses here.
No. It's a funny thing. And it's funny how it's just growing and changing and evolving, everybody's practice because of the internet, because of social media, because of all of that. And there's been people that even like, why even bother writing books? Nobody reads books anymore. And it's like, yeah, but They do. Those people who know what they're looking for, they know they want to go deeper. They know they want those resources right then and there. So I really wanted to write a book for kind of geared towards teens. And my publisher was just like, teenagers don't read books. They're not going to pick up a book and read it. And I was like, so it's kind of in limbo, but I was just always kind of like, but, I feel like they would like to have that resource they can write in, they can have with them. Like, at least if we can give them that, like they have that option, instead of just writing notes in their phone, instead of just watching TikToks, I think it's important. And I think that it's important for us to focus as people who have been practicing for a while, to the younger generation, like read. Like, again, I'm always in those groups. Read. Here's book recommendations. Read it. I don't care if you get it on Kindle. I don't care if you get it in physical copy. Just read. And it's because I just think it's so important. And I feel that, even just supporting authors, supporting creators, it again is so important because, with our artists now, with AI going on, even the writing, to backtrack, I was on the Amazon, like I was looking at like the recently published list or whatever, right? So I was like, my book was hanging out on there. I was so happy. I was like, yay! But then it was gone. It just disappeared. And I was like, where did my book go? So, but I'm looking at the titles, and probably 20 of those titles were AI books. And I went and I started looking, and there's this one guy, you have like the Aurora Kane or whatever, and then there's another one. But this guy, I don't remember his name now, but he published 20 books in the last year.
Oh, wow.
Stop. Just stop it. It took 3 years to write my book. Like, what? So I'm looking, and of course it's like every subject is all these crazy things, and I'm like, but they can pay people to review the books. So they pay their Amazon reviewers to review these fake books. And I think like 10 of his books were on the recently reviewed list.
Oh, wow.
Or the recently released list where my book was. But then there's like 10 of these AI books, and then my book gets booted off, and I was like, so mad about that. Because these books were crap. Like, you can read the little snippet of it. Crap. It's just AI slop. And again, that goes again for the artists, even finding artists for the decks I have in progress right now. It took a little while because, they're like sorting through AI or not AI. And then now these artists, they have to charge more because of that competition. And, even my artist for Stardust, people were like, this might be AI. And I'm like, holy crap, no, it wasn't. This took 4 years for her to draw. It was not, but people don't know the difference. And if they see something, they just automatically assume. And it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. So I think it's really important for us to support our creators, whether they're writing or drawing or singing or music or any of those things. All my boys are musicians, and my third son, he does producing, and he was talking about like on Spotify, Spotify itself actually released a song that was completely AI that was like #1. But it was #1 because Spotify was bumping it up to that. It was giving it that platform to do that. And he's like, this is ridiculous. Like that. Again, like I'm on on this Amazon list, but then I'm not because there's 15 AI slop books. And, they pay people to do all these reviews, and even the reviews sound kind of wonky. So I think it's important to let our younger people know, like, no, there's really good authors out here. These are these people. These are the publishers that you want to follow. And, these are the artists you want to support, and paying attention to that. And I think that, again, that's just so important right now too. And then that's where they're going to find the authenticity and be able to really work on their practice and hone their practice. And, then they could be the best magical people. And we need that because they are the younger generation. So I think instead of everybody gatekeeping and everybody telling them, no, this is wrong, and we really need to start guiding them.
Putting out the book right. That's what we try and do. That's why with your book too, I will be posting all about it, trying out things as soon as I get it.
I know. Once it gets there and stuff, all that. Just that little snippet, yeah. But it's important, and I think that it's hard right now to tell the difference. And if we don't tell them what the difference is, they're just going to go with whatever's easy and whatever's cheap. And, even the fake decks for my cat deck, the Enchanted Forest Felines, I reported like 10 counterfeit shops with the deck. And my artist, her name's Iva. She's from Croatia. She's delightful. And she even reported like 10 different ones, because Llewellyn, actually, they have a website. If you find a counterfeit Llewellyn deck or book, you can go on their website and they have a place where you can report it. And they kind of like put them all together. It's like, it must be some sort of website that they kind of compile them. But that's crazy too. And I think people, a lot of people are still buying counterfeit decks and they like, we don't know. And it's like, I don't know. I think if there's a QR code, it's pretty well known that it's fake. But I feel that some people say that they didn't know, but they really did. But
Yeah.
all right, we see you, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been stores. I've been in stores. I've gone into some physical shops and they have all fake decks. And I'd be like, these are fake. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, it's just so much cheaper. And they don't care.
Wow.
So
That's
I
crazy.
think so obviously we don't recommend those couple of shops that I was in. But again, it's just making people aware, I think, is so important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, definitely. I was going to say that they have websites for that, though, that lets it know. So it's like guiding them there instead of like the Chat GPT for finding it there. Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes that's, obviously not accurate. And, that's like a whole nother realm too, is people getting spells off Chat GPT, getting their magical information off of there. Again, it's kind of just a mishmash of everything. Like it just picks up keywords and throws out whatever. There was one book I was looking for. I'd seen someone posted it and I started looking for it. And I said, you know what, I'm going to put it in, like the Gemini thing, because I don't have ChatGPT. So I'm like, let me just see what it is. Like, let me see if it brings this book up. And it brought up the book, but it brought it up with a different author's name. And then I went to research it and it like didn't exist. So somebody was recommending a book. They must have looked on there and the book actually didn't exist. Like it wasn't even in existence. And it just popped out this name. And I don't know if it just took names from different authors and like the title from different authors and created this whole thing. But I thought that was kind of crazy. Like that was crazy.
Yeah. That isn't that. Yeah.
So people, again, people are recommending books and recommending things without checking them first. So, if you're going to recommend stuff, at least look into it. I think that's super important, because if you're just putting it into a chat bot, some of the stuff's not real, like literally fake. I couldn't believe it. Like, I thought it was me. Like, I thought I did something wrong. Like, did I put this in wrong? Am I using this thing wrong? Nope. It just didn't exist. But it said it did. And that person recommended a book that literally didn't exist.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, that's crazy. That's the kind of stuff that, we'll be putting out there, and what to get, where to get it and all that stuff, so that it won't have that happen. But
no, definitely. And that's what I mean, though, in some of these groups and stuff, I think, again, I think it's good if people can kind of go in there and try not to get emotional and just be like, here's information. Take this little bit of information. If you listen or not, maybe someone else will take it. It's totally fine. But I can tell you my book's legit. I researched the heck out of all of it. I was looking into moon science from the 70s. That was a trip. I was like, wow, there's a lot going on here. And it's always very interesting with the moon science part of things, because I do include some moon science in the beginning of the book. How it always does wind up tying into kind of a magical aspect. Like, I'm reading legit, like, researcher moon science books, and they're talking about how it affects people. They're talking about affecting women's periods. And all of that stuff. And it was crazy. It was crazy to see that no matter how science it got, there was still always that little magical element in there. And I thought it was kind of cool, but I'm a moon dork, obviously. So I thought it was kind of cool. I had so much like moon science in there too. They're like, we could probably cut some of this moon science out. I'm like, no, but it's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I love that, and I love about the book because like that's exciting, and it's really good to use the different practices because I know if you know Bjorn's Freemasonry, you know what I mean. So different forms of magic.
Yes, no. From what I know, they do super cool stuff. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot of secrets in there.
Yeah.
I actually looked that up one time too. Like I was really interested in learning more about it and stuff, but there's not a lot of information for like women to like learn about it. So
No. Yeah, I don't think they let women in, right?
they do now, but it's very limited. And so like the places where they do allow it, I think it's more in England. And I can't, I can't just hightail it to England. I'd love to. I mean, that'd be great. But no. But it's very, I'm very intrigued by it. I will say that much.
Yes.
Like, I want to know. Tell me the thing. Fine. It's all fine. I won't tell, I promise.
Yeah.
But don't stop. Come on.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Well, and I was going to say too, because you do teach classes then, right? So just for everyone, like to teach the moon classes and like how, like guide people how they work through the moon too, right?
I do. Yeah. No,
okay.
I do. I do a lot of speaking events and stuff like that. So if you follow me on Instagram or wherever, I post on everywhere. So you'll find me. But I am thinking about also, I've been toying with the idea of doing a Patreon. So it's one of those things, like I've been thinking about it. I know that I could definitely, like, the content is totally fine. It's the time to do it, that's the part that's, so I'm trying to like figure it out because I do want to start doing something. I may start doing some moon circles like during the different, stuff like that. So I've been kind of toying with that idea, and I'm trying to time it because I do want to start writing again. I have another book idea that I want to start, so I'm just waiting for the go ahead on that. So I think it's all in the timing. Because when I'm writing. So trying to like start something else, like that whole thing probably wouldn't, again, it's all about focus, and I need as much focus as I can get. I get very squirrely very quickly. So like I hear one little noise and it could derail me for like 2 hours. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm sitting here writing. All of a sudden I'm doing laundry and I'm watching TV and I'm doing, and I'm doing all like baking bread or something. So I have to be very careful about what I put my focus to because it can go crazy fast.
Yes.
Like, who knows? It's like the meme where the person's like cleaning their room, but they're sitting in the middle with all the stuff around them and like 3 hats on. That's me.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh. I'm exactly like, that's why we brought up Labyrinth, and all that. Like, I'm like that old lady who's like surrounded by her stuff with the stuff piled on her back. It's like, because I just keep taking stuff in and like, all that.
No, it's so funny. And I actually, there was a reel the other day I just shared. Somebody, they're like, I like to think, and it was like Sarah. And I'm like, I like to think I'm Sarah, but I'm really this lady. And it was the junk lady. That's her name. She's the junk lady, but it was really her. And I'm like, that's so funny.
Yeah. I'm just owning it at this point.
It's like we could try, but it does sneak up on you. And before you know it, it's just what it is. Like, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, we're not hurting anybody. We're just piling it on. We're not hurting anyone. No one else is involved. So,
exactly.
It's so funny.
But because it'd be fun, especially like I was saying, after this book, if you did do like that book to extend on those things, like where you see people, like, because I know my chart's always like a hot mess, like with where my moon is, because Taurus moon 10th house, but then the 11th house is my Chiron and my North Node in the same house.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's like a lot of like intense business happening.
Oh, it is extremely intense. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I definitely want to. So I'm hoping at some point to revisit that. They like to have these things spaced out. So I'm like, fine. Because I'm like ready going in there like, no, let's, try this other. Okay, bye. and I do have a couple of decks going. So I got that going on. So I'm excited about that. But the Goblin one is definitely like very Goblin from Labyrinth inspired. And the artist for that, she's doing a great job. And I did post I do have a couple of cards on there. And I'm going to post I just got a couple more. So I'll probably wind up posting a couple more soon. It's been a lot of moon stuff lately. So it'll be a nice little change. Like, it's so crazy. Like when you're just promoting stuff, because it's like for you, you've been doing it for so long, and it's been a couple years for me, and then you have to like promote it, and you feel like you're annoying, like you feel like you're so annoying. But then I post something kind of promoting the book, and someone will be like, oh, I didn't know you wrote a book. And it's like, you've been following me for ages. Like, what? I've been screaming it from the rooftops for like 3 years, and you just realized it. And like some people just don't see it, like however their algorithm is, and they don't see it. So you do have to keep kind of talking about it. And that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes.
And you're just like, and even with the Stardust deck, like I'd mentioned a couple times that it's going to mass market, and they're like, oh, you have that deck? That's your deck? And I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Just buy it. It'll be great. You'll love it. Just, it's okay.
Exactly.
So it's funny. The internet is a thing. It's an interesting monster.
Yes. No, it really is. So I feel bad with people like creators trying to put it out there, and you're going up against AI, and then the bot, bot advertisement. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah. No, it is. There's a lot. And even if, now just the AI, some of the AI advertisements are like people, and you can't tell the difference. Like even my husband is like, he'll show me something and be like, is this AI? And I can tell right away. I'm like, yes, that's AI. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. But there's even been times where I'm like, I have to watch it a couple times, which gives them money, and that is in my head. I'm like, well, that's kind of annoying, but I need to figure this out. Like, it's So it's getting like so good, but there's also, again, with the AI deck, I'm not a proponent of AI decks. I'm not, people, it's like, it's my, I'm not going to buy an AI deck. That's all. If people are going to do what they're going to do, and then I'm not telling people how to feel, what to think, all of that, but I do feel that they need to research it and understand how it works. And what, the process is like, because even like I was saying before, that one guy on Amazon, there's no possible way to write 20 books. No. And they're like 200-page books, my book is, I think my book's like I was like 85,000 words or something. Like my book's just about 300 pages. There's no way that you can write a book 300 pages. No. Many of them in a year. Yeah. And I think that's important for people to look at, because even like I've seen on Etsy and stuff, like with tarot decks and Lenormand decks, they have like 50 of them on there. Yes. Like there's no way that you could possibly do that in a year. There's just not. Yeah. And I think some people are like, oh, well, it's cute and I like it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay, fine. But please just think about where that's coming from. And there's been artists that we've wanted. So Llewellyn will help find they find the artists for the decks. Yeah. They're one of the publishers that they source the artists. And then they give me a couple, and I, 1, 2, 3, best to least. But there's been a lot of them that we've loved the work and we want to do, but they aren't even doing art full time anymore, because it's not worth it for them. So then I can't have this person who I love their work do this deck or commit to a deck, because it is a commitment, it's 79 pieces of art, because they can't take the time to do that, because they have to do something else now, because they're not selling and how they used to. And I think that people need to really kind of pay attention to that, even when they're buying the written books and all of that, like what it's easy for you. It's cheap for you. You may like aesthetically how it looks, but when it comes down to, there's nothing to it. Like I'm working with my artist on my decks, and we're talking about the different clothing and there's just so much energy that goes into it. And then I feel like at that point too, that makes the reading even better because that somebody's putting their heart into it. It isn't just let me type in a few things and see what happens.
It's exactly true. Because we had a couple artists on here too, like talking about that with their work, that it takes months just to do like one card, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I'll get them for the Goblin. She'll do 3 at a time. And it's usually like 4 or 6 months, sometimes before I get those 3. And it does take a lot of time. And if anybody's popping them out that fast, is just like the books. There's just, you're just putting in prompts and you might be able to write a really good prompt and it might come out how you want, but there's an artist whose livelihood you just kind of trashed for that,
Yeah.
I mean, you literally like I said, there's been a couple of artists that I really love and I have not been able to work with them because they just can't commit to that full time because it's just not going to make them money. And at the end of the day, they are getting paid for a service, and they do need to make money. And that's just, even that goes into the tarot readers and stuff now. You have the spell witches, on Etsy that they're trying to get rid of, which is ruining it for everybody. But some people are putting in, this person's asking about this, and this, give me a reading for them. And it's popping it out. And there you go. And you're like, but wait, what? Like, to me, that's wild. It's wild. I'm just like, this is crazy talk right here. Like, I was at a conference once and the subject, this one person was talking about was using AI in your tarot business.
Yeah.
I already had an issue with the title. I was just like, oh boy. And, again, I'm not trying to tell people what to do. Everybody's going to do what they're going to do, whatever. Yeah. I didn't go to it. I just couldn't because I know, again, Aries, I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. So really is for everyone else's safety. It's probably best I didn't go to that. So I noted that it happened and I talked, to the people that organized it and I was like, all right, it's a really interesting choice. And, I'm trying not to be a jerk about it, but it's really hard. Again, this is what I do forever. Like, and this is, she's saying basically it's okay to use AI for your readings. So I'm talking to this one older woman. COVID happened, and this was a little bit after COVID. So she felt like after COVID, she kind of lost her spark with tarot reading, and she was trying to bring it up. And I said, all right, and she was asking my opinion, and I'm like, do this. She's like, well, I went to that class about using AI in your tarot business, and she said I could just use AI for my readings for my clients. And I was like, I'm like, okay, do you want my real opinion, or do you want my very nice, fluffy opinion, And she's like, no, tell me. And I did. And I told her, I said, that it's not you giving the reading. What's the point of doing that for what, $20? Because, she's giving cheap readings or whatever. I'm like, why? How would that, if you have to even go, and she's like, well, then she's told me that I could just go in and edit it after. Then what's the point? Then just pull out some cards and do a reading. If you don't want to type it, do voice to text. That's all you got to do, instead of what's the point of doing an AI tarot reading and then tweaking it afterwards? Just do it. I feel like it's extra steps, but then she's like, yeah, but I lost my spark with well, then you know what? Then maybe you need to take time, focus on tarot. Again, go back to basics, go back to the beginning, read a tarot book, pull a card a day, start there instead of jumping back in and doing that if you don't feel ready.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a frustrating moment. It really was. And that person is now kind of disappeared into the ether, which we knew it would happen. We knew that would happen, because that's not going to last.
No, the AI, no. Yeah, no. And that's why I don't even the talk to text. I know people do it, but if someone wants a reading that just is delivered to them, I like Marco Polo. I don't know if you've ever used that, where you just Marco Polo the reading to them. So it's still you talking and then it's that back and forth.
Right. Oh, okay. Just like a conversation. Yeah. I mean, I've done audio readings and stuff before. Yeah. Too. There's ways to do it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's and even when you're doing it in that way, you can do the audio reading and listen back and does it sound how you want it to sound? If not, redo it. You have options. I just feel like instead of just typing it into
Yeah.
bot and letting it do a reading, like there's no nuance, there's no feeling. It's just they're taking keywords from what you put in and popping out a card that relates to that somehow, which most of the time doesn't, but
Yeah, no.
you know,
Yeah. And that's even worse if you're asking them to pick the cards. Like, I thought you just meant they typed in, like, King of Swords, what does that mean? But asking them to pull the cards,
yeah,
that's even worse.
Yes, the woman told her she can just put in the queerance question and ask it to do a reading based off that. And I was like, please do not do that.
Yeah, that's
If
worse.
anything, if you feel like you're in a slump, if you feel like your readings are off, ask somebody to just, like a friend, ask somebody like, hey, can I just do some practice readings? Like, or reach out to somebody. There's plenty of like, even like on the websites, like the different things, like people will have like practice Tuesday and you can practice doing readings with other people and stuff like that. I mean, there's definitely ways to go about it. So to just ask, it wasn't even, the person didn't even pull out cards. Like they just said, put in the question and just, that's what the reading is, and give it to the person.
See, yeah, but
Feeling.
No, that's so much better because that's like takes out all the magic because you're intuitively pulling cards. There might be a flyaway card, or there might be like a card that flips out with one. Like because even if you're not that great at working cards, the biggest thing is pulling the cards and laying them, and then that's what it is.
Right, because it's always like you pull out your cards and there's always that pause as you're like picking up the energy and you're seeing like, what do we have here kind of thing, right? So if you're just like putting the prompt in, like you're just eliminating all of that, like the whole energy, like there's no energy to it. It's literally nothing. You might as well just get a fortune cookie and open that. That's even more intuitive.
Exactly the magic 8-ball. Yeah.
Right. Like I think I'd rely on that more than I would putting it into the chat bot to tell you. It's crazy. It's wild. It's wild. Like what people are, what they're doing and what they're saying. And thankfully I haven't seen that person and anything else, or she had some deck that she did that had the like keywords and like the meanings on them, which those decks aren't my favorite.
No.
I don't love them. I understand the point of them, but I don't love them. And when I teach tarot, I'm like, you get your own set of cards and write in the margins in pencil because it's going to change.
Yeah.
If you really feel like you want to write some keywords, I always tell them, take a pencil, write it around the edges on the white part, on the border. But I feel like when the meanings are on the cards like that, it kind of locks you into that. And there's no, like, it kind of blocks your intuition at that point. And you got, like, you can't, because it says, this means blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's what it means. And meanwhile, it doesn't. I mean, how many times have we pulled cards that you just, like, in your intuition's like, this is what this means in this situation, but it's not the textbook meaning,
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, that happens all the time. And it's like, you're totally bypassing all of that if you're just relying on whatever that is. And that's that person's perception of what that card meaning is.
Exactly. No,
and you lose that too. It is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like Bjorn, he says he's in the waiting room, but either way, he'll have to figure out his business. But he always says the same thing, like, when a card could mean red, but then there's scarlet, there's burgundy, there's like a million different ways to go off of that red, on what your intuition is.
No, absolutely. And really what it means to you and what red means to you. Some people see red and they're like, wow. Some people see red and they see power. Some people see red and they see comfort. So and that's what, like, even when you're doing a reading, like if somebody sees the butterfly in the card, to me, it might just be a butterfly, but to you, it might be, oh, my grandma Nellie said that anytime you see a butterfly, I'm around you. Right. So it's just like by doing that, it just takes it away, and like throwing in AI is not going to know that. So it's crazy. It's kind of crazy with all of that.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't like even. Yeah, it's people are getting. Yeah, too much with that. Someone was saying that somebody just type into Chat GPT, I think it was, what teach me tarot. Like, and it's like, oh, because now you're talking about it's like, yeah, bypassing
Oh,
all. When he said that, I was like, oh my God,
ouch. I
that's
know, that's painful. That's painful.
like,
Yikes. Yeah. I
especially
don't
there's so many,
recommend that. I don't recommend,
no.
like,
And there's so
really.
many, yeah, no,
There's
no.
so many books. There's so many people that want to teach it. There's so much. There's no need for that. I mean, yeah,
No.
it's the quick way, but you're not even learning it. It's not even going to be what you want it to be anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I still feel like there's room too for tarot because I was doing this the equinox reading at this bar. They were doing an event, and I was busy like the entire time. But every single person who came up, and there was like it was from like 6 to 2 in the morning or something, and every single
Okay.
person, it was their first reading. Like, but that's the thing
Yeah.
is that you still have that interest, that's why like your books are so important, you know what I mean? To start with and not Googling it, not putting in there, but actually going to the source of books to learn these things, to get the
Right.
deck and learn these things. That's why I love, writers like you that come out with this knowledge because there's still people where this is their first dive into it.
Right. And it leaves it open to interpretation and how you want to work with it. And it gives you the options so that you could kind of, it's like the choose your own adventure books, I always say.
Yes.
I love those. I love those.
Yes.
And it's really like, are you going to page 32 or are you going to page 47? And you get to choose and you get to do that. And we all went to both pages to see what was the better outcome. I mean, don't lie. We all did it. And so, but then you can do that and you can check it out and see, and then reset if it's not how you're wanting it to go. And I think that's a part of it. And that's, if you just throw it into a Google search or whatever, you're losing that choice. You're giving yourself choices. And that's how you learn and that's how you grow. It's by choosing things. And if you just pop something in and it just says, this is it, and you go off with it, you're losing that.
Yeah. Yes. That's, yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. It is like, well, that's, yeah. Definitely a deck I'm actually looking to choose your own adventure deck based off the books.
Yeah. They do have one. They did make one. That Inside Editions, they do all those decks. They have the license for all that. Like they have all the Disney decks and stuff. And I usually don't love them.
Oh, they're not good. Okay.
One I wanted to love so much because it's Labyrinth, but it's okay. Like the guidebook, Minerva Senegal or whatever, she writes the guidebooks, which the guidebooks I don't mind so much, but a lot of times I don't know who decides. I don't know if the artist decide, because usually the art's done first and then she writes the book for it. So it's not as collaborative as other decks, but I don't know who decides what the images are going to be on the cards. I don't know if that's up to the artist or the Inside Editions, like Disney tells them, this is what you need to put on the cards and they just draw it. I do feel like that's kind of how it is. But they have like the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. They have the Labyrinth deck. They have, all of them. The Supernatural deck. I think the Choose Your Own Adventure, Garbage Pail Kid deck. Like they have the licenses for all of those. But I probably wouldn't. They're good to take pictures of for online. But I would maybe use them for I have a couple of them. I'd probably use them for myself, but I probably wouldn't use them for clients because I feel like the images sometimes don't match the cards. I would think, I think in the Labyrinth one, I don't have the deck with me, but like Hoggle, the main.
Yeah. I wonder if I do.
Like he's like on a weird card. He's on a weird card.
Yeah.
And I don't love so it kind of throws me off.
Yeah.
So
actually,
honestly, in my Goblin deck, I have the Four of Pentacles. It's kind of like a Hoggle-ish looking, like it's not, but they could be brothers.
Yes, I love that. Yes.
So I have like a lot of that, and in my Goblin deck too, I have a lot of. I call them eye tubers because I don't know the name to give them. And they're like the eye plants, like in the Labyrinth, the eye plants. Like there's a lot of those throughout my deck too because I just love them.
Yes, I love
there's
those.
like a lot of like like borrowed, but has nothing to do with them. Has noththing to do with them. No copyright issues here.
No.
It's definitely like
how you see
inspired.
it. Yeah, how you see it.
In my head, that's how I saw it, and that's
how you see it. Yeah, definitely, it's how you see it.
Yeah,
and like I said, we'll definitely post all of that stuff. I'm still, I post all of it, like interpretations and all that stuff and giveaways. So
you're always doing something.
Yeah, that's a
lot of work. It's so much work, though. Like, I don't think people realize, like, all the posting on social media and stuff, like, how much work it is. It's a lot of business.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I do follow, please. Always give a like.
Yeah, you do the Substack because I follow you on Substack. Yeah. That's like the new thing now, Substack.
It is. I'm still kind of getting used to it and kind of feeling it out and all that. But yeah, I'm like, oh, great, something else to post on. I just want like one service, like you could put your post and then it pops it out to everything, but I've not yet found that. There are a couple out there, but they don't pop out to who I want them to. And then the way they do it is kind of weird. So it's like you're going on each one and posting.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely. I feel like he's...
It always works out. It always works out, though. It does. It's like that balance,
Okay, yeah. So, thank you so much for being here. And we'll, in this comments and in this link and everything, you'll find your pages, your Amazon, because everyone should be grabbing your deck before, the first edition deck, that special first edition before it goes there, and then everything, So we'll be posting all of it so you can dive in. And I'm sure you have on your page too, talking about all the moon cycles and the tarot reads. So
yeah, I got all the stuff on there.
Yes. So everyone should follow, subscribe, support artists, support creators.
Yes, all the things.
Yes.
Thank you for having me, though. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do love having you. Yeah, so definitely. And then, we will, definitely do this again and then follow up for live.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, yay. Thanks.